Discover how to have a hot body at any age. In today's episode with Angela Beyer. And what's so special about Angela is she's a renowned coach and health expert. And it's not only about aesthetics that she's interested in. She empowers women to build muscle, cultivate healthy habits, and achieve lasting well-being. So, Angela, please tell us, how can entrepreneur women get into shape and have a hot body? Heal Podcast with Lily Patrascu shares longevity and anti-aging techniques to stay young forever, increase energy, overcome addiction, and live your longest, best life ever. Shared by world's most innovative, alternative, and traditional health thought leaders, healers, and doctors. Discover quantum healing strategies to heal your mind, body, and soul.
Oh my gosh, that is a big question. Well, thank you for having me, Lily. I'm super excited to be here. And yeah, this is a huge topic. And what I love about this is that everybody is different, but the body is the body and certain things just work. And especially for entrepreneurial women, they are always super busy and they have to have a presentation or a certain look, which is expected. And I understand there is a lot of pressure as well. Now, the more routines and habits you create, and the better prepared you are, the more successful you're going to be. And that's in your business as well as in your health. Now, if it comes to getting in shape, I like a step-by-step approach. So meaning wherever you are, I have to see what is the baseline, what are we working with? And then we start adding the workouts in, starting to add the nutrition in, and we see how the body responds. I always try to do a gentle approach because what I want my clients to do is maintain it and be able to do it for the rest of their life. They want to be in shape, know what to do, how to handle events or conferences or trips. So they are not falling off the wagon. So there are a lot of different aspects you have to look at it. But if it comes to getting in shape, the most bang for your buck, if it comes to this, is always the strength training. And women are a little bit afraid of that. When they hear strength training, they don't want to bulk up. They don't want to be very muscular. And like I said, they have this bodybuilding, huge women in mind. But in order to build muscle, a lot of muscle, you have to work a lot for a very long time. I always tell my clients to build muscle, it's like watching grass grow. It takes a very long time. And what I want to do is I want to sculpture you. I want to tone you. I want to get you to the physique you feel comfortable and confident in. And that's what we are working towards. But we have to lift some weights to get there.
Thank you. So first, I think it's important to know what is a hot body, okay? Because, for example, for me, a hot body is, to have a relatively, perky boobs, perky bum, and then to have a small waist. But I'm assuming that maybe not everyone wants that. Maybe other women have a different idea of what a hot body is. So maybe it means to them to be like very, very slim in all areas, and they don't care as long as they are relatively sculpted and they want to be slim because that's their ideal of beauty. And the other thing is how do you even get there? So let's take an example of a 40+ woman who, let's say, needs to go to a lot of conferences. So when you're going, traveling to different places, maybe you don't have so many facilities to go to the gym and this kind of thing. So let's go through the potential routine of how do you start to take the small steps to have a hot body. What would be the very first thing you would do to get someone started on having that hot body?
Okay. So to your first question, what is a hot body? You are so right. Everybody has a different idea. And this is why a strategy session at the beginning is so important. I want to know what it means to you. And of course, I cannot change your bone structure. I cannot make your hip wider and curvier. And, there are certain things your body is made out of, and this is how you look. So depending how your physique is, your symmetry is, that's what we can work with. So I can tell you, okay, we can do this, but I can't make, how can I say it, like your hip wider and your waist. I can't trim the waist, for sure. But to make it like an hourglass shape, we have to approach it maybe in a different way because your shoulders are very narrow, or like I said, your hip is very narrow. So there are different ways to approach it depending on the body. So I need to meet with you, see you, and we want to know where you want to go, what your goal is. So maybe your goal is, for example, just to be very slim, and you want to just shed body fat, and you're not really about having toned arms or anything. A lot of women don't like that look at all. So yeah, there are different ways of approaching it.
Okay.
Now, if it comes to conferences and trips and travel, again, so interesting. I always like to know what I'm dealing with, meaning when we go to a trip, I want to know what the hotel is offering, for example, or where you stay. Like, what are the food choices? Is there a gym available? What is there? Now, you can always do, if it comes to a workout, you can always do body weight workouts or stuff, for example, like a core workout where you don't need a lot of equipment, but you can get a workout in. The movement itself is very important to keep it up because the body likes to move. And especially with women over 40, what I see is, and it's just like a lot of women can relate to this. They wake up in the morning and they say, oh my gosh, I gained all of a sudden all this weight and I haven't changed my diet. So what happens is they're not using their body anymore, and the muscle just gets less and less and less as we age. It's called sarcopenia, so we lose muscle. And if we don't keep it up, our body has a hard time using carbs. So the insulin, what we produce, which is fine, can't open any muscle cell because they're not there anymore, and it goes back to the liver, and we put on visceral fat, the belly fat, and then we are like, well, what just happened? This never happened before in my 20s or 30s, but now it's happening. It's because you lost so much muscle. So we always want to make sure that we keep a routine. And I'm not talking about hour-long workouts. I'm talking about if you're at a conference, you want to get ready, have in the morning a quick workout just to move, to create the flux in the muscle, keep the muscle up, and get ready also for your conference. When you move, your brain is so much more involved and alert. So it has this benefit as well, that you can perform or get the information at the conference much, much better. I always recommend to get it in the morning if you can, because first you have accomplished something hard and you're done for the day. It's not in the back of your mind. You want to enjoy the conference, your trip. And like I said, you have a good start to get the metabolism going.
Thank you. Now let's take, how would an entrepreneur woman become, have how can an entrepreneurial woman create an hourglass figure? Imagine a woman that doesn't normally exercise. Like, for example, for me, I'm very sporty, okay? But I would say for the last 5 years, I have done a lot less exercise than I normally do. So I've put on 30 kilos, okay?
Okay.
Now I have a relatively figure eight kind of figure. I have big belly. And I think a lot of 40 plus women do have a big belly. So I wonder, how would you recommend for an entrepreneur woman who, let's say, has a relatively good body, but, 40 plus and has accumulated a big belly, how would you recommend she goes from that to an hourglass figure?
Okay. So we have to look at three things in that regard. Number one is the nutrition. Number two is the exercise part. And number three is actually recovery time and sleep. So especially in your 40s, the body changes, your hormones are changing. So you have to approach it in a different way. I remember in my 20s, boy, if I needed to lose weight, I just hopped on a Stairmaster and I just lost the weight, no problem. And in your 40s, all of a sudden, you can't jump into a spin class or real quick on a Stairmaster and hope for something to happen. So what you need to do is, again, have the right nutrition. So you want to have a good amount of protein. Most women in their 40s are not having enough protein. It's the calorie intake can't be a lot, so to speak. So carbs and fats you can play, but always have a steady protein intake. It has to be robust to be able to create the muscle. What triggers or influences your metabolism and your hormone balance. Now, if you are very stressed, and most entrepreneurial women are very stressed because they are running a business, it's never ending. It seems like 24/7. You have to literally make sure that you schedule time for yourself. I know this sounds hard, but I want to see your calendar and actually put your name Lily in, and that's your time where you take a break, do some breathing exercises, ground yourself, take a walk outside, get some sunlight, and take a rest. Very, very important. Same with the meals. I cannot emphasize how important it is, and especially when you are running on cortisol the whole time, your body is inflamed, your metabolism is not really working. You are insulin resistant. You can tell, like, oh my gosh, I just look at carbs and I gain the weight. You can create the hourglass figure if your body is stressed. So when you have a meal, literally sit down and just make it a habit to take 3 deep breaths before you eat, because I want you to switch from the sympathetic nerve system in the parasympathetic nerve system, in the rest and recovery mode, not in the fight, flight, or freeze mode, what the sympathetic nerve system is. And like I said, when we are in our work and we are performing, we are not chased by a tiger or a dinosaur. We are having a conference call and we are, like I said, focused on our work. We are not moving, but the body actually is in the sympathetic nerve system, runs like from the tiger, and that's where we get hiccups. So the rest and recovery is very important in that whole picture to create that hourglass shape. Again, done the diet, high protein, high fiber diet. And there's another thing, just a little side note, because I catch myself all the time with it. Make sure you get enough omega-3 fatty acids, for example, anti-inflammatory. You want to be gentle on your body so the body can actually release the body fat so you can create this figure. So there is this balance, and I know it is difficult, but what is not difficult? If you're not in shape and you're out of shape and you don't fit in your clothes and it's difficult to walk to an airplane or get the luggage up or whatever it is because you're out of shape, that's hard as well. So I always say, pick your heart and put it somewhere where you get a reward from. And especially when you do the strength training. And the strength training too, like I said, doesn't have to be very long, but I do it very specific then for the person. Like I said, hourglass figure, we do a different workout than if I have somebody who wants to have toned arms or somebody who wants to build the glutes or something. They are customized workout programs, and I usually don't do them very long. For my clients, especially because I know how much stress they have and time is of the essence. So my workouts usually for women in their 40s is between 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops. Sometimes it's just 20 minutes. And again, I want those women to create a habit just to show up. So important. And if it's 5 minutes, sometimes I have clients that are like, I'm so sorry. I know we have a session. I have only 10 minutes. Do something with me in the 10 minutes. That's all I got. But they showed up and they did their workout and they did something. And that is so important mentally as well. But then creating that habit and consistency, so important. And if you want to create or change your body and want a body transformation, you got to be consistent.
Thank you. For women that eat a high sugar, high carb diet, how easy is it for them to actually lose weight and get an hourglass figure? And the reason I ask you this is because I have a high sugar, high carb diet. And to top this off, I also juice, for example, like carrots, apples, oranges, ginger, celery, almost every day. And I think that is an added sugar as well. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is such a good example, actually. So juicing was a big topic and still is. Now, you just explained it so correctly. What you do is you extract the fiber and you just literally have the sugar left, and this shoots into your system. So you have a sugar spike. What I want you to do is, if it comes to carbs in general, to be very, how can I say, balanced and gentle. Now, when you like sugar and you're in this, how can I say, sugar addiction cycle, where you always think about something sweet, what you need to do is, and this is an interesting thing, when you put your food on your plate, start eating the protein first. So when you have the protein first, it actually gives you a satiety effect. So you're feeling more full. And you can switch it around. You can start with the fiber too, the fiber or the protein. But I would start with the protein first, have a solid amount of it, and then the fiber. So some vegetables who slow down the emptying of the stomach, brushes out your colon, and helps you to be more balanced. Huge. And that helps you to get away from the sugar cravings. If you, and this is interesting too, because a lot of clients ask me about fruits, and the fruit is not ideal because we really can only eat a small amount. And fruit sugar doesn't really go into the muscle cell immediately. It has to go through the liver and can actually just sit there and create visceral fat when you overeat. And that's a very slippery slope. And especially when you juice it, you create basically a sugar drink. And I always like to eat. I like to eat my calories, so I'm not drinking them. I always try to have solid food. Of course, you can use protein shakes and stuff like that. But if it comes to sugar, I really try to get it out. And like I said, you can start with creating the plate and starting with the protein first, go to the fiber, and you won't have any cravings. You can actually test this out in restaurants. This is what happens too. When you go to a restaurant, what do you get first? Either the rolls with the butter or the tortilla chips with the salsa. And just wait with them. Have your meal first, eat your protein first, eat your vegetables first, and then check in and ask yourself if you really want the rolls or the tortilla chips. And I bet you say no, because then the satiety has kicked in. Super important. Now, you can play around with certain things what are helpful. For example, apple cider vinegar. If you dilute apple cider vinegar in a glass of water and you drink it before your meal, it actually helps you to feel fuller faster. So you're not eating as much. Very helpful. What you also can do is have a little salad before you eat with apple cider vinegar and olive oil. And that helps you to cut out the sugar cravings and feel fuller. faster. So this is very helpful. Don't drink the apple cider vinegar straight out of the bottle, just saying, like, it's very potent, so dilute it with something. But that is a very helpful tool as well. Same with breakfast. Start with a savory breakfast. And we always start with something sweet in the morning. And if you want to get rid of the sugar cravings, recommend to start with something savory and get into that habit, and you get a ton of benefit. Your body will actually shed the body fat off, and you will actually feel not as bloated. That's another thing. If you want an hourglass figure, the sugar can cause a lot of problems in that regard as well. So you want to calm your system down and make sure that the digestion is working properly. And that's why you can do it that way. Like I said, everybody is different, but this is a good rule where you can go by and test it out how you feel. The other important or fun thing is if you eat protein first, protein has a thermogenic effect, meaning when it gets digested, 20 to 30% are necessary to actually digest the protein. So you lose kind of some calories just by digesting the protein. Fat has 0 and carbs is only 5 to 10%. So you're not getting a lot of benefits out of it eating the carbs. The protein, way better. Yeah. So use all the things you can have.
Thank you. What is the best way to know how much protein an entrepreneur woman should have that would allow her to have an hourglass figure?
Yes. So, oh my gosh, wonderful question. So right now, the recommended daily allowance is too low in the United States. That's all I can say. I don't know how it is in Europe right now, but you take your ideal body weight in pounds, like American pounds, and you just do 1 gram per ideal body weight in pounds. So if you want to weigh 125 pounds, you eat 125 grams in protein, very simple, and you divide it by 3 meals. So you can say it's like 40 grams roundabout per meal, which is a big amount. Think about it. 30 grams of protein is a lot of food. And you will be surprised. This is the beautiful thing. You will feel full with the protein intake, and you're cutting out the sugar cravings very quickly. It is a transformation, and your body really bounces back very quickly. You can see how you're losing the body fat, that's what you want. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Is it important to reduce carbs to make them to hardly eat carbs? Or is it good to have like a balanced approach where you eat mainly protein, but you still eat a lot of carbs? And also, is it important to have the carbs and the protein separated? So for example, you eat only protein and vegetables in one meal, and then you eat the carbs in another meal. Does that matter as well to help you to have an hourglass figure?
Yeah, very good question. So you have to earn your carbs, meaning you gotta move in order to take the carbs in. I liked a balanced approach, meaning, let's say if you have 120 grams or 125 grams of protein, you can do 120 grams of carbs, and you will see what the body does with it. That's not a lot of carbs, by the way. It's a lot of protein, but it's not a lot of carbs when you think about it in what you used to eat. And then when you actually look at the numbers, you're like, whoa, that's it. That's not much. But like I said, if it's in vegetable, it is a ton of vegetables. But if we talk about oatmeal or fruits or potatoes, rice, pasta, all those things, it's a very small amount. Now, to be honest with you, the interesting thing with carbs, and there is so much around this, to you have them separate or only in the morning, or like put them in every meal a little bit, or it doesn't really matter. This is super interesting. I saw clients who are very successful and have a beautiful hourglass figure, and they eat all their carbs at night, like in the evening when they come home. then they can relax, and then they want to eat. So the timing is not really that important. What is interesting too, where I see benefits is if you do a little bit of time restricting. So if you say, I eat 3-4 hours before I go to bed, that is very helpful. But what they also do, those women, they're women in their 40s, I let them have a protein shake in the morning before they work out, because again, I want to be gentle, and the hormones are different. And usually cortisol is up in the morning. So I don't want the body to be more stressed. So with this little bit of a protein shake, like a whey isolate or something, a very light protein, easy to digest, nothing heavy, because you want to work out. Very helpful, very balancing, and that actually helps you to lose weight. It's a funny thing. Adding a shake in helps you to lose, like having more helps you to lose weight. We are not used to that. And I think demonizing carbs is a mistake and a problem. We should have carbs, but you have to earn them. So if you have an intense day where you were on a hike, or you were running around, or you were very active, taking a bike ride or something, yeah, have your carbs. But if you were sedentary in an office, just stay with the vegetables. And this is where you have to be smart and where preparation is key. Lily, if you're not prepared and you're not having it ready to eat it, you go off the wagon because the willpower is gone. You made so many decisions. You get bombarded with phone calls, with text messages, emails. You are in meetings. You talk with employees. Yet it goes on. Just being in traffic sometimes can stress you out because it's so crazy. And if you don't have a meal prepared, I can guarantee you, you go to the fridge, you open the fridge, and you eat whatever you find. If you have it prepared, if you have your proteins ready, a grilled chicken breast, whatever you like. But if it's ready, and if it's Greek yogurt, it's Greek yogurt, that's your thing. And your vegetable or your salad, it's already ready to eat, maybe in nice containers, cleaned up, chopped up, and you just have to put it on the plate and heat it up or something. You will stay on the diet and you will be successful. Not being prepared ends up with DoorDash or some other food delivery service, and it's not beneficial. You will harm yourself and set yourself back, which you don't want. You want to be successful and maintain what you achieved.
Thank you. How can entrepreneurial women reduce stress so that would lead towards having an hourglass figure, aside from what you just mentioned?
Yes. So I put things now out where they don't want to hear. But in the evening, it's so beneficial. And I always talk about this. Just don't look to your phone, to any social devices. Don't watch TV, no blue light. Really make sure that you ground yourself, you relax, take a nice walk, have a conversation with a loved one or a friend, or if you don't want that, have like just a good book and read. It makes such a big difference. We always believe if we scroll and sit there and just relax and scroll, you're not relaxing. The brain is on high power just by the scrolling movement, and it's so much bombarding you. It's a problem. So it's a very important thing to actually take a bubble bath, be gentle, to something nice for yourself, to actually relax and calm down, because you want to have a good night's sleep. If it comes to sleep, you want to have good sleep hygiene. And these are minor things, but I guarantee you, they have a big effect. Having it really cold in the bedroom, taking a warm shower, like really warm, and go into the cold bed will help you to sleep better. Having it really, really blackout curtains and stuff like this. And make sure, again, no devices, no nothing in the bedroom. Really see this as your rest time. Another thing is, like I said, my day starts actually at the evening before. That's when I prep. What's going on tomorrow? Who am I going to train? What does my schedule look like? I prep my meals, I put out my clothes. So when I wake up in the morning, I roll out of bed and I can literally jump in my clothes. And that's what I'm doing. It's a very, automaticity is key, especially for entrepreneurial women. It has to be an automated process so they don't have to make a decision, because they have to be focused on their business and everything else needs to be automated. And the more you practice that, the more successful you're going to be. I'm telling you, it's so freeing. You have so much more freedom by preparing. Unbelievable. You get a ton of benefits. And that's the thing too. If you have this peace of mind, your body is not inflamed, and boy, you have a flat stomach. So many women are so stressed and they're actually, like I said, bloated. It's not even body fat. They're just so inflamed that the body says, hey, I need somewhere an outlet, and they get a sticking out stomach. Yeah.
Thank you. How can entrepreneurial women reduce bloatedness aside from what you said? Are there any specific practices that they can practice, or any particular foods to avoid so that they are not so inflamed and they are not so bloated?
Right. Very good question. So there is something going on with the digestion. So most of the time, I always like them to take a probiotic to actually cultivate the colon flora, sometimes because of medication or, chemicals in the food can interrupt the colon flora as well, and we are not even aware of it. There needs to be, you want to pick only organic food and the healthiest, high quality food, which makes a big difference how your body reacts to the food. The other thing too is have enough fiber, which helps to cultivate and make sure that the bacteria is growing and be balanced. That's prebiotic, probiotics, postbiotics. So there are 3 different things. I know a lot of stuff, but it's very simple. Have enough fiber. If you feel the fiber bloats you, start with a slower amount and work your way up. What I also like is fermented foods. So this is like sauerkraut, kombucha, all kinds of kefir, for example, everything what is fermented, because again, you get probiotics in a natural way and you cultivate the colon. And it's surprising to me how, I have clients, they need 3 servings of fermented foods to be not bloated. That's how their system is actually run down. They don't have the good gut bacteria anymore, what causes them to bloat. So it could be digestion. Again, also, if you have a really hard time, do an elimination diet, meaning you cut out your foods and you start slowly with 2 or 3 foods, see how your body reacts. If it's good for a week, add something else in, see how it reacts. For me, for example, I have a really hard time with artificial sweeteners and food coloring. So me personally, I cannot even touch it. I get bloated immediately. It's a reaction to it. So I'm not doing well with it. Otherwise, I can digest basically everything, but it's an interesting thing that I've never been exposed to it when I grew up. And that's also very important to know. What did you eat when you grew up? And what did you eat now? So you can actually see what's going on with the colon flora. So, yeah.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can find you.
Yes, you can find me on social media as Health Coach Angela, and my website is houseofshape.com.
Thank you. Follow me for more interviews with world's most innovative health changemakers to live your healthiest life ever.